Okay. I think you have received your lecture materials by now. Okay. So, yeah, today we will start. And okay, by the way, I think you have received your what do you say, assignment submission deadline. Uh, it is the presentation is on the 10th of June, and the written assignment is on 30th of June. So that is, you have more than a month for that. But your written assignment, you have to do a lot of things. We discussed briefly about the questions on the last week. We will discuss about the questions again when we complete all our lectures, because some questions you might not be able to clearly understand without the uh, lecture content. So start doing what you can do by now, because there are around 2 or 3 questions that you can completely complete by now. And start making the presentation as well, because you have to there is one section where you have to do some literature review. So there is, you have to read certain research papers, several research papers, and maybe newspaper articles, online newspaper articles, blogs, uh, things like that. So you have to refer them. You have to add references whenever you add something to your um, uh, either the presentation or the written assignment. When you add something that is not your idea, even if it is your idea, you have to add from where you got that idea, right? We do not simply get an idea out of the blue. So um, we you have to add references. Whatever you say, you have to add references from where you got the idea or from where you got that information, like that. Okay, so for that you have to read so much. So start doing it right now. uh, it is good if you have already started doing your assignments, your presentation and your written assignments by now. Okay, so we will start today's lecture. There is one section, one question in your assignment where you are supposed to digitize a map. That is, you get a map, or you get an image of a map. For example, uh, some image like this. So this is an image, right? This is an image. There is no, this is not a map. I mean, this is, you cannot change anything here. This is simply an image file. But let's say you want to add something to this image, or you want to change something to in this image. For example, let's say you want to locate some building in this image, or maybe you want to remove this road. So these are roads in brown color. Let's say this road has been removed, and some trees have been planted. So you have to update your map. So what you have to do is, you have to digitize this map. You have to make a digital copy. A digital copy means you have to have points, lines, and polygons where you can edit in this map, right? So this is simply an image. You cannot edit anything. So what you have to do is you have to make this map, or you have to convert this image into an editable map. So to edit a map, what we need to do is we have to create a map which includes points, lines, and polygons. So that is what we do in digitizing a map, right? We create feature layers from a given map. So if you can remember, all the maps that we loaded into QGIS, they had layers, they had shape files, right? So one shape file contained one particular type of shape, maybe either point, right? One shape file can be either a point shape file, or maybe a line shape file, or maybe a polygon shape file, right? So here also you are uh, creating different shape files for different features in the map, right? You are creating different shape files for different features in the map. So first of all, what you have to do is you have to add the file into your canvas or into your layer. So you should add the file as a raster layer, right? You should add the file as a raster layer, and I have given you the image file. So that image file is inside this folder, QGIS EX6 digitizing map data. So inside this folder there is your handout as well as the image file, the TIFF file, right? It is a TIFF file. So you have to load the TIFF file into your QGIS platform as a raster layer, and then we have to do something like this. We have to do something called add pyramids, right? So I'll load this file first of all. So layer, uh, add layer, add raster layer. Then I'm going to I'm going to select this file, this TIFF file, and I'm going to click on open, right? So when I click on add, that file will be loaded into your layer, and you can see this is the image file, right? This is the image file. So as you can see here, when I scroll in and scroll out, it is I mean, the file loads itself without any problem, without any issue, right? But sometimes some image files might be very large in size. So this is a very small image file, right? For if you take an image file which represents the whole world or the world map, that file will be very large because so many details will be included in that image file. So you can see here, even in this small image file, the map. So since this is a map, all the roads and all the buildings, the parks, everything is uh, mentioned here, right? So many roads are mentioned here. You can see in this image. So imagine uh, if you are I mean, if you have an image file which represents the world map. So in the world map also, or if all the, I mean, if most of the roads and what do you say, these parks and stuff is being uh, indicated, then that image file will be very large in size, right? The file size will be very large. So when you zoom in and zoom out, or when you pan the image, it will take time to load, right? It will take time to load into this canvas because of something called rendering, right? So, you know, raster files, sorry, raster files consist of pixels, I mean, raster layers, right? Each and every object has a set of pixels. If you can go and remember about our vector and raster files or vector and raster data types, you can see raster files have, I mean, they use pixels of the whole image in order to represent the data. But in vector files, shapes are being used, right? Point shapes like circles, squares, or lines like that. They have been used in vector files, right? If you can't remember, you should go to your lecture notes, refer your lecture notes, the first or second lecture note of this series, and see, right? So since this is a raster file, it takes time to render, right? When we zoom or pan around the map, it will take time to load the file again and again, right? The particular view of the file will take time to load again and again when we zoom or when we pan around the map. So an answer to this issue or a solution to this issue is given by the QGIS platform. It creates pre-rendered tiles at different resolutions. So different resolutions means when you zoom this map like this, the resolution or the number of pixels in the X and Y axis will change, right? In order to give you a clear view of the image, the resolution will normally change, right? So this, when you zoom in, normally a very high resolution is being used. I mean, so many pixels um, is being used to create and present the detail of the map. So when you zoom out, low resolution will be okay. So resolution means the number of pixels in the X and Y axis, or the whole number of pixels in the image is known as the resolution. So if you want to know about resolution, you can Google it and search and see. So when the resolution is high, when there is high resolution, normally an image quality is also high. If there is low resolution, which means the number of pixels are low, then the image quality is also low, right? Because not much detail can be represented because there are limited number of pixels in low resolution files, right? So here what happens is QGIS creates several files, right? Several files. Some files are low in resolution, some files are high in resolution. So when we zoom in or zoom out, that particular file which is related, either low resolution file or high resolution file, is shown or represented to you instead of the full raster file always, right? So this theory or this technology which is used in QGIS, it makes the map navigation snappy and responsive. Like when you are navigating through the map, it will be responsive. The map will be loaded fully without any issue. So here there is no much of an issue because this map is a very small map. So I'm talking about big maps such as world maps or maps which have so many details, right? So what we have to, so since this map is not a very I mean, it is okay, we can zoom in and pan and there is no issue in this map. So it is okay that we do not create pyramids. So these pyramids is not needed to be created every time. But if there is an issue when zooming in and zooming out and panning the map, issue with the resolution, then we have to create or we have to add the pyramids, which means we are creating a set of resolutions for the same image file, right? We are creating a set of resolutions for the same image file. So how are we going to do that is we will right click on the layer here and go to properties. And when you go to properties, this pyramid tab will be selected, or otherwise you have to select this pyramids tab. So here 1, 2, 3, 4 resolutions, 4 types of resolutions are available for this image. So if the image is more larger or if the image has more details, maybe several more resolutions will be offered to you by this by the QGIS application. But since we have only 4 here, we will select all the resolutions. So you can press your shift button on the keyboard and you can go and select. Sorry. Or either you can just click on each on this resolution, right? Just click on each of the resolution, then it will be selected. So I am going to select all the resolutions here, and this is just leave these as default values, and you have to click on build pyramids. So you have to build the pyramids. Build pyramids means you are building these resolutions files. You are building these image files with resolution. So you click on build pyramids, and yeah, you just click on build pyramids, and it will the resolutions will be built. So yeah, normally if the file is too large, you will see a progress bar here. But since this is a very small file, these pyramids will be built in an instant. So we didn't even see a progress bar here, so that is okay. It is because uh, it is very this is a very small image. Then building several image, and yeah, only 4 resolutions can be built, so it will be built in an instance, right? And then you can click on apply and click on OK. So when you zoom in and zoom out, you should be able to see a very rapid, I mean very yeah, user friendly scrolling can be done, but you won't be able to see a very visible change here, because as I mentioned before, this kind of images, this kind of small images with small amount of data uh, doesn't need much of pyramids, right? Okay, so after building the pyramids, uh, you have to set default digitizing options. you have to set default digitizing options. So for that you can go to settings, and under options, default digitizing options are available. So what are the default digitizing options? They are these kind of things. So it is there are several options here. You can go through them. So I have highlighted a few. So default snap mode, vertex and segment. This will allow you to snap to the nearest vertex or line segment. So this is the here it means the default snap mode or the default snapping tolerance. Search radius for vertex edit. So it is, I will explain this when I am doing this practically. It is like when you click on 2 points in the map, the default snapping tolerance, or how much accurate the line or the point or the polygon that you are drawing, how much accuracy depends on these values, right? The accuracy of the lines that you are drawing, or maybe the polygons that you are drawing, or the points that you are keeping, its accuracy depends on these values, right? So you can change the values if you want, but this value 10 pixels will be the best at the moment for, I mean, for most of the pictures, for most of the digitizing work, these values will be better or the best, right? Default snapping tolerance and search radius for vertex edits in pixels instead of map units. This will ensure that the snapping distance remains constant regardless of the zoom level. So the snapping distance means when you draw the line when you have zoomed out like this, and when you are drawing the line when you have zoomed in like this, the snapping distance, the distance where the accuracy of the line is being built, those kind of things will be the same. So depending on the computer screen that you are using, you might choose an appropriate value. So you can choose an appropriate value which is clear to you depending on your computer screen, right? So you can go to this by settings and options. Yeah, so when you click on digitizing, there are so many options you can see here. So this is when you are drawing the line, right? When you're drawing a line, the rubber band color or the rubber band width, right? For example, if I set it for around 3, it a very, I mean, generally um, a line with a general width will be um, used to draw a line, right? Don't update rubber band during, okay. So you can yeah, you can go through these settings and see. It is better if you can change the settings and see when you are digitizing the map, when you are drawing certain features on the map. Just change these settings time to time and see what are the differences. Okay, so I'll just leave these things in the default value, right? And then we can start digitizing. Okay. So before starting digitizing, we have to create a database. A database. It is where all these shapefiles, all the information which is related to these shapefiles will be stored. Right. So here in GIS, we are using the Spatialite database, right? The Spatialite database. So why are we using the Spatialite database? We can use MySQL or Oracle or any kind of database like that. But here, what is special here is Spatialite database is the one which gives us the opportunity to store points, lines, and polygons, right? Spatial data. So these are spatial data. Point, lines, and polygons are spatial data. So spatial data can be stored in Spatialite database only. We cannot store points, lines, or polygons in a MySQL database, right? We cannot store, we cannot create a table which has the data type point, line, or polygon in MySQL or any other database types. But Spatialite database, it is an open database format similar to the Esri's geodatabase format. So you can go and see what Esri is, right? Spatialite database is contained with a single file on your hard drive and can contain different types of spatial layers. So spatial layers as well as non-spatial layers can be stored in a Spatialite database. So it is very easier for us to move around instead of a bunch of shapefiles. So what we need to do is, we first of all, we need to create a database, create a new Spatialite database or Spatialite layer. We need to create a new layer. So in this layer will be either a point or a line or a polygon. So we have to include all these layers inside a database, right? We have to include all these layers inside a database. So for that, we have to create a new Spatialite database, right? So let's say, first of all, I'm going to digitize the lines, right? So let's see here. I'm going to digitize the line. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is, so obviously I need to create a new layer, right? To store lines, points, and polygons, I need to create layers. So layer, create layer, new Spatialite layer, right? You have to create a new Spatialite layer. So when you click on this kind of uh, window will be open. So here I already have a database with me, right? I already have a database. So if you want to create a new database, you have to click on this button where there are three dots. So it says create a new Spatialite database. So click on this button and go to a place where you want to store this database. For example, I'm going to go inside a folder. Let's say digitizing map data. So inside this folder, inside the same folder where I have all my or the handouts and data, the image file, I'm going to create the Spatialite database inside here. So I'm going to give a name. You must give a name here. Let's say park database, right? Since the image file is of a park, I'm going to say park database, and the file type will be Spatialite, and I'm going to click on save. Then click on save. So when I click on save, you can see the database name will be changed. And I'm going to give a layer name. So as I mentioned, I'm going to digitize the roads first of all. So I'm going to give the name as roads. Let's say roads around the park, like that. Roads around the park. So I'm going to digitize these roads which are around the park, right? Then the geometry type should be line because I'm going to digitize the roads. And you can select a coordinate referencing system. So, but I'm just going to keep the default values here. If they have mentioned that for you to select a certain coordinate referencing system, you can click on this button and select from whatever list which is available here. But I'm going to keep these default values as it is. Then you have to add fields. Fields means you can remember all the shape files had attributes, right? All the shape files which we used previously had attributes, right? That there was an attribute table, and in that attribute table there were columns. So those column names you must include here, right? The fields here means all the column names. So for a road, I'm going to give um, a road name. Okay. Road name, and the data type will be text data. Then I'm going to click on add to fields list. Then you can see here the fields list will be available. So the road has a name, and the road has let's say a type, what type of road it is. Then that also I will keep as text data. Then the road will have an opened date, right? The date where that road is opened. Then for that I'm going to use the data type as date, right? And maybe the road can have let's say a person who opened the road. So in Sri Lanka, normally the ministers are the ones who are doing that, but nowadays the trend is being changed uh, bit by bit. So the person opened, like that. I can add it as a text data and add to field. So here you can see the field list will be shown here, right? If you do not want a field, you can click on that field and you can remove the field from here, right? And there are some advanced options. Here it says create an auto incrementing primary key, which means an ID will be given to each and every road defaultly, right? An auto incrementing primary key will be given to the a new column named ID or road ID or whatever will be created. So that's why I am not creating any IDs here, right? Then I'm going to click on click. Okay, and you can see here the new layer is being created. So roads around the park is the new layer, and the data type is line. The shape type is line. You can see a line here. So when you move the cursor on top of this layer, you can see its information, very similar to the other layers that we um, that we worked with, right? So when you click on this layer, so what we have to now what we have to do is we have to draw the roads here. We have to digitize it. So I can zoom into this particular place, right? You can just drag and zoom into a particular place, and then we have to draw these roads. For that, you should see um a set of tools here like this. So there is a toggle editing button. So when you click on toggle editing, these tools will be available, right? So add line features, vertex tool, current edits. So that kind of uh, edits can be done um, onto this layer, onto these roads around the park layer. So I'm going to draw a line. So I'm going to select this add line feature. And when I select that line, that option, you can see my cursor head has turned into something else, right? So by this, you will be able to correctly draw the line. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to do one click, right? One left click like that. And you can see when I move my mouse, so move the cursor away, a line is being drawn to it, to whatever place the cursor will be clicked on next, right? So I'm going to click on this road. I'm going to click on several places of this road like this. So the left click, okay, and here like this. Okay, so this is the road that I'm going to digitize. So when I come to the point where I have started, you have to right click, right? You have to right click. Right click means you are completing or you have stopped drawing your line. So when you right click, you can see a window will be opened with the column names that we have given, right? The name, type, open date, a person who opened it. So this all information will be available with this road information. Right. So here I'm going to include whatever name. So I'm going to include Hagley Avenue. So you can see here the name is given. The type, I don't know, A1, yeah, A11 or something. Then the open date, you can drop down from here and you can select the date, right? Then the person who opened the road, right? The person who opened the road. So I'm going to just write ABC and then I'm going to click OK. So you can see here the line is being drawn but it is unclear to see because it is very thin. So you can always go to the styles, or maybe you can go to properties, and in and click on symbology, and you can increase the size or the width of the line. So when I apply, yeah, it is better if I can increase more, then apply. Okay. And the color also, it is better, you can, if you can change the color to something like this. Okay. Then I'm going to click on apply, and then OK. And you can see here the line that I drew. You can see here the line that I drew is visible like this. Right, so you can increase the width of the line, and you can use it according to your desire. So this is one road, right? This is one road, and the attribute table of that road is also given, right? So after you guys stop editing your line, you can always click on this to save whatever you have done with your layer. Right. So if I want to yeah, when you have finished editing this line, you can just click on this pencil again, then it will be closed. So if I want to draw another line, right, I want to draw another line, and that line should be included in this file as well. So just click on add line, and then keep on clicking until the point that you need to draw this. Okay, so I'm just okay. So the name will be in Hagley Avenue. The type, I don't know, A13 or something. Open date, you can choose a date, right? And the person is ABC again. So when I click OK, here this is the new road, right? Then you can save, and you can toggle editing. You can go to this layer and see the attribute table, right? So these are the two values that I have input, right? These are the two values that I have input, right? Okay. So I will give you a little bit of time to practice this line drawing. So you can select another road. So there are a lot of roads here in this map. You can select another road, and you can do as I did right now. So I'll give you a little bit of time because this is totally new for you. So please download the folder, and you can go inside the folder, and here is the handout, and this is the image file. So you can at least try and see how you can add a line to a shapefile, right? So all the details are given here, right? Okay, so you can do up to this point. Up to this slide, you can do, right? So I'll give you a little bit of time to practice it, and then we'll move on to the other uh, types, to do the other types, right? Around 5 minutes I'll give you. Okay, so were there any issues? So anything that you need to clarify?
No issue, ma'am.
Okay, so so if you need to change the layer styles, like maybe the width of the line, maybe the color of the line, like that, you can always go to uh, uh, like, I mean, you can always right click on the line, go to properties, and under symbology, you can change uh, the colors and widths and everything, right? Uh, it is the uh, same as how we changed symbology in the previous layer. Or you can go to styles and change the color of the line as you need, right? Like that. So you can see here. You can see here. You can change the colors. So I'll just keep like this because I can clearly see the colors here. Okay, so you can untick this image here and you can see the lines will be visible. So when you what do you say, when you digitize the whole map, you will see the whole map when you even though you remove the image like this. Okay, so this is a line that I have digitized. You can also digitize uh, points. So let's say I'm going to digitize these uh, points here. So these are, I'll convert these into points. So it is the same. You have to uh, go to layer. You have to create a new layer in order to digitize the points. So create layer, new specialized layer, and you have to include that layer into the same database which these this line layer is included. So that database was the park database. So I'm going to select the park database here. The layer name I'll name as park buildings because I'm going to digitize the buildings inside the park. So park, let's say park buildings, and the geometry type will be point. Uh, so I will leave this in the default value because in the other layer also I have left this in as the default value. The name uh, for the fields, I will add the name, add the column names as the buildings also can have a name. So it will be a text data. The size of the buildings, maybe. Uh, yeah, so I'll just leave those two only. The auto incrementing primary key, I'll just leave it like that. So the ID, there will be an ID for each and every building. So I'll click OK, and then I'm going to select this layer. So you can see since it is a point layer, a point is shown here. So I'll click this layer and I'm going to go to toggle editing. So since this is a point layer, points will be given to you. The feature called add point feature will be shown here. So I'm going to click on one point, one building. So since it is a point, we do not have to draw anything. We just have to click because one click is a point, right? So the name of the building I'll include as, I don't know, maybe building one or something like that. The size maybe 10 stored building like that. Then I'll click on OK. So you can see there's a point here. Then there's another point here. That building can be B2. The size will be let's say 12. And for this point also, building 3, size is maybe 12. Then yeah, I'll just name this as building 3A. Then this one as building 3B. Okay. And this building also I'm going to name as building 3C. Okay. Okay, and maybe this building as well. So this will be building 4. Size is okay. So you can see I have included points. So when I zoom out, you can see the points clearly. When I zoom in, obviously the points will be small, but it is okay. If you want to increase the size of the points, you can always go to the styles and you can increase the size of the point and the colors of the point. So yeah, and there is one other option called vertex tool. So when you select that vertex tool, you can move the point. So you just click on the point and you click on somewhere that you need to move that point. So for the point, you can, what you can do is you can move the point from one place to another. Okay, so move feature, or you can rotate, but since this is a point, it is yeah, since this is a point, you won't be able to rotate it. It is useless. Or you can delete the point like that. Right. So you can save the edits and you can toggle editing. And now you can see the points will be available here. So I'll just change the colors of the points to red, maybe, yeah, let's change to blue. Okay. So you can see these are the points. Right. So like that, you can digitize other points. Basically, points means we normally digitize points for single buildings, not complex, not building complexes. If there are single buildings or maybe one road sign or trees or something like that, we usually use points to digitize those kind of objects. But if you have a complex of buildings, we normally use polygons, right? So you can see there these other buildings and stuff, they have certain shapes. So we have to use polygons for that. Okay. So I'll show you how to digitize polygons as well. So we'll include another layer, create layer, new specialized layer. So I'll select my database, the same database which we have included these other two. The layer name I will name as Hagley Park, South Hagley Park, because I'm going to digitize this part. I'm going to digitize the South Hagley part. So South Hagley Park. Geometry type will be polygon, and the park name will be given to you, and the park size, and open date. Okay, sorry, the park size will be numerical value, so whole number or maybe decimal number. Okay, like that. So like that we can include the data types or the column names, and I'll click OK, and the South Hagley Park layer is visible here. So click on that layer and click on toggle editing, and you will see there is an add polygon feature. So since this is a polygon layer, the add polygon feature is given to you here. So how to add the polygon is you have to click first. You add your first click, your left click, okay, in your cursor, left click, and then you just simply move or keep on clicking, right? Keep on clicking along the border or the boundary of the park. The polygon will be drawn. In the end, you will see the polygon will shape itself and draw by itself. What you have to do is you have to click on the border. So I'm going to click like this, right? Even there are some roads which come inside the park, I'm just going to keep on clicking like this. Okay. So there is some circle which comes inside the park. So I'm going to click on those borders as well, like this. And finally, I'm going to come to the end and right click. So when I right click, you can see the polygon is drawn, right? The name of the park will be South Hagley. And the open date somewhere, so you can select the date. So you can select any date. Okay, and the size, I don't know, any value of the size you can give. So okay, so you can see the polygon, right? So this is the road that I have drawn previously, and this is the polygon. So you can always adjust. Remember, these points and lines can come to the top, and then you will be able to clearly visualize all the information, right? So if I zoom in, so you can see here there is a circle, but my drawing is very clumsy, right? In my drawing, it is not a circle here for the polygon. So I can always adjust that, right? So you can use the vertex tool. When you use the vertex, when you click on the vertex tool and move your cursor onto the polygon, you can see some small dots. So these are the points that I have used to click, right? These are my clicks. Or you can, when you move the cursor, you can just click on the cross or click on the dots, and when you click, you can see you can move the lines to somewhere. So like that, click and then click again. So you can simply adjust, right, like this. you can simply adjust the lines in order to clearly mark this circle, right? So like that, you can always adjust what you have drawn. Okay, you can always adjust what you have drawn. So here, okay. So like that, you can adjust anything using the vertex tool, right? So here you can, there are some other features also where you can move feature. So you can click on the polygon and you can move to somewhere else, right? Okay, so like that, you can move the feature, right? Or you can make a copy and move the feature. So you copy this object and you move this object to somewhere else. So you can create several copies, right? So I'm just going to undo it. You can use Control Z to undo any thing that you have done. Then you have this option to rotate feature. So you just click on the object and you can rotate it, right? Click on the object and you can rotate it like that. And there are some other options as well. You can simplify, you can add certain things, you can add a part, you can fill some things inside this. So you can use these features here. And remember these yeah, you can use these features and you can edit the object that you have drawn on your map, right? So yeah, so I'm going to save this layer and I'm going to click on toggle editing. And again, you can add something else as well. So here you can add circles. So these are also available for polygon. So for example, if you want to add a circle, if you want to add a circle, you do not have to draw point by point. You can simply add circles with different ways. So for example, you can add a circle from 2 points. So you can just click on one point and click on another point and this, sorry, click on another point and the circle is added, right? So the all the attributes of the polygon will be given here. So I'm just going to select okay. So here this is the circle. So it is pretty easy. You do not have to draw point by point. Or if you know 3 points to create a circle, you can use that also. If you know the tangent values, the tan values, by that also you can add a circle. So like that, there are different features to add circles as polygons into your map. And here, this one you can add ellipses, right? So you can add ellipses from 2 points. So I'll just, so there are no ellipses in this map, I think, but just to give you a demonstration, I'll just, right? So 2 points and the size you can give. So whenever you want to stop drawing anything, you just right click, and then this window will come in order to enter the details, right? So like that. So this is the ellipse, this is the circle. So similarly, you can add rectangles. So you can see here in this map, there are so many rectangles, right? So you can add rectangles using this feature, right? So you can add 3 points, add rectangles from 3 points or center and point. So you can just click on the center of this, and you can click on the point somewhere else. So that is a rectangle, right? Like that. So there are so many different ways where you can add polygons to a map. Um, okay. Okay. So when you have finished all, you can simply save the changes and you can click on toggle editing, where this will be these toolbars will be invisible. So if you do not have these toolbars visible to you, you can always go to view toolbars. Yeah, and here you can see advanced digitizing toolbar. There is advanced digitizing toolbar, and attributes toolbar, digitizing toolbar. So you can add a tick on this, and they will appear in your application here, right? Okay, so so that is, yeah, you can use the node tool. So these ones are normally used to digitizing buildings, right? Because it can be very hard, because so many buildings will be there, and so many I mean, you will need a lot of time to draw point by point for building. So you can use this shape digitizing toolbar. So this is the shape digitizing toolbar. So you can add that toolbar here. This is the shape digitizing toolbar, right? So you have to take this in order to add the toolbar to your application. Okay. Uh, You can enable the advanced digitizing toolbar, where you can rotate and you can do certain advanced features for the objects that you have uh, created. And for the layer visibility, yes, you can change the layer styling. You can change the styles of the layer in order to visibly correctly view the map that you have created, right? Okay, so I need you to do some activity. So like you have to digitize uh, a point layer, a line layer, and a polygon layer, right? You have to digitize all those three layers. Use the same image, right? Use the same image file. Use the same image file, and you try to digitize as much as you can, right? Use all the um, features, all the tools that is available for each and every layer. Okay, digitize as much as you can, but you have to digitize all three types, right? The points, lines, and polygons. You have to digitize them, right? So I am asking you to practice these things, because there is a whole question for you in your assignment. right? And you have to digitize a whole image that is given to you. So if I show you something, if I remove the image, you will see the park and the buildings inside the park and the roads around the park is being digitized, right? So when you digitize the whole image, it will be quite interesting. Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of time, around 20 minutes, and you can uh, you have to digitize all three types. Okay, points, select whatever points you like, that is okay, and give meaningful attributes, right? Oh, I'll show you. So here, if I right click and if I go to the attribute table, you can see the attribute table is being created using all the information that I have entered, right? You can remember the small dialog box which came after you digitize each and every object. So those information will be stored like this, right? So this is the table that you are creating when you are creating a new uh, layer, right? So the ID will be automatically created because I have given to create an auto incremented ID, right? So same goes to the other two layers. You can open the attribute table and see. So there are two roads, and for the park itself, yeah, there are three objects that I have created, the whole park and the small two circles. Okay, so I'll give you around 20 minutes of time. Yeah, 20 to 30 minutes of time. So you can practice and you have to show, right? You have to share your screen and show the points, lines, and polygons that you have created using this image, right? Any questions? Any issues? Okay, so while you are doing this activity, if you come up with any issues, do ask at that moment. Don't keep doubts, right? Okay, then you can start digitizing a few objects, right? Yeah. Were you able to do any digitizing, Vinisha? Vinisha, were you able to digitize all 3 points, lines, and polygons?
මෑම් මේ නිව් ස්පෙෂලයිස් එක ක්‍රියේට් වෙන්නේ නැහැ බ්‍රවුස් කරාට.
ක්‍රියේට් වෙන්නේ නැහැ කියන්නේ?
මේ දැන් ෆයිල්
ඔයා database එකක් හදන්න ඕනේ.
ඩේටාබේස් එක
ඒ
හදන්න
කියන්නේ
කලින් මෑම් අර මේ ෆයිල් එක සිලෙක්ට් කරන්න තියෙනනේ අපි ඩවුන්ලෝඩ් කරපු තැනින්. එතනින් සිලෙක්ට් කරන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ.
layer ඔයා ෆයිල් එක ඇඩ් කරන්න ඕනේ raster layer එකක් විදිහට. layer add raster layer.
එහෙම
raster
තමයි
layer එකක්. ඔව්.
ඩිජිටයිසින් වලට එනකන් ඕකේ වෙනකන් කරා. එතනින් එහාට මේ කරන්න බෑ.
අනිත් අයට මොකද? How about the others?
database එක create කරගන්න විදිය මිස් මම ඒක එන්නේ නැහැ.
database එක create කරනවා කියන්නේ මෙහෙමයි database එක අපි create කරන්න ඕන අලුත් එකක්. එතකොට layer create layer new specialized layer. එතකොට මෙතන ඕගොල්ලන්ට දැනට databases මුකුත් නැතිව ඇති. ඔයගොල්ලෝ create කරලා නැහැනේ. එතකොට මෙතන බටන් එකක් තියෙන්නේ create new specialized database කියලා. අන්න ඒක ක්ලික් කරන්න. ක්ලික් කරාම ඔයගොල්ලෝ කැමති තැනකට ගිහිල්ලා මේ database එකට නමක් දෙන්න. මොකක් හරි නමක් දීලා ඒක automatically specialized කියන type එක තමයි select වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒකෙන් save කරන්න. මොකක්ද දෙන ගැටලුව? ක්‍රියේට් කරන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා මොකක් හරි මැසේජ් එකක් හරි මොකක් හරි එන්න එපයි. මොකද්ද මේ එන්නේ ඔයගලන්ට? Yeah.
මඩ මේ database එක create කරන්නේ layers වලින්මද නැත්නම්
ඔව් අපි layer එකක් ක්‍රියේට් කරන්න ගියාම දැන් ඉස්සෙල්ලම අපි කරන්නේ layer එකක් හදන එක. හදන්න යද්දි තමයි ඒ layers ටික ඔක්කොම අපි එක තැනක තියාගන්න එපේ. ඒකට තමයි අපි මෙතනින් database එකක් ක්‍රියේට් කරන්නේ. හරි එතකොට දැන් මගේ උදාහරණයක් හැටියට මගේ මෙතන databases 3ක් තියෙනවා. මම එක database එකක් select කරලා ඒ යටතේ තමයි මම layers create කරන්නේ. දැන් ඕගොල්ලන්ට initially database මුකුත් නැහැ මෙතන. එතකොට ඕගොල්ලෝ මෙතන මේ option එකෙන් create new specialized database කියලා ගිහිල්ලා ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ database එකට කැමති නමක් දීලා නිකම්ම database එක save කියන එක දෙන්න. සේව් කරාම ඒ ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඒ දුන්න නම මෙතනට එනවා. එතකොට ඒ database එක යටතේ තමයි අලුත් layers ටික ඔක්කොම ඔයගොල්ලෝ හදන්න ඕනේ. ඒ කියන්නේ point, line, polygons කියලා දැන් ඔයාලා layers ගොඩක් දැන් මීට අමතරව තව layers තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒතර ඒවා ඔක්කොම හදන්න ඕනේ ඒ එක ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් මේ picture එකට අදාළ ඒ එක database එක යටතේ.
හරි මිස් ඒ ප්‍රශ්නේ තමයි තිබුණේ අර database එක create කරන්න නැති නිසා අර මේ අර data tables මොකුත් create කරගන්න දුන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක අර database එකක් අර අපේ කලින් already තිබුණ නැති නිසා මේ
ඔව්
QGIS
මෙතන ඔයගලගේ database එකක් මෙතන නැහැ. ඕගොල්ලන්ට ඕගොල්ලෝ මෙතනින් database එකක් හදා ගන්න ඕනේ. හදනවා කියන්නේ database එකට නමක් දෙන එක විතරයි තියෙන්නේ. ඒක automatically හැදෙනවා. හැදිලා ඊට පස්සේ මෙතනට මේ drop down එකට එනවා මේ database එක. ඒක select කරලා තියෙද්දි ඒකට layers ටික හදන්න තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට දැන් මේ situation එකේනේ ඕගොල්ලෝ පළවෙනි layer එක හදද්දි. දෙවෙනි layer එක හදද්දි මෙතන already ඔයාලගේ database එකක් තියෙනවා කලින් හදපු එක. ඒ කලින් හදපු එක select කරලා ඒක යටතේ තමයි අනිත් layers හදන්න ඕනේ. හරි?
හරි මිස්.
You should ask when you come with issues, right? Don't just waste your time. If you asked this previously, I would have told you. Yes, Vinisha මොකද ප්‍රශ්නේ?
හරි මෑම් මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ තමයි මටත් තිබ්බේ.
database එකක් ඕගොල්ලෝ එතනදී හදා ගන්න ඕනේ. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි දැන් මේ ඔය database එක මේ picture එකට විතරක් තියාගන්න. ඕගොල්ලෝ දැන් assignment එක කරද්දී ඕගොල්ලෝ වෙනම picture එකක් නේ වෙන image එකක් නේ මෙතනට දාගන්නේ. එතකොට ඒකේ තියෙන layers උයි මේකේ තියෙන layers උයි ඔක්කොම එකම තැන තියලා හරියන්නේ නැහනේ. ඕගොල්ලෝ ඒ image එකට ඕගොල්ලෝ අලුතෙන් database එකක් හදන්න. එතකොට ඕගොල්ලන්ට අර drop down එකේ දැන් මේ හදපු database එක තියෙයි. නමුත් ඕගොල්ලෝ අලුත් එකක් හදන්න. හදලා ඒ අලුත් database එක select කරලා ඒ ඔයාලා assignment එක කරන්න ඒ අදාළ layers ටික ඒකේ හදන්න. හරි? I mean, it is not a very big deal. Just imagine that you are including these layers inside a folder. So we say that it is a specialized database, but just imagine that you are including these the layers which are related to this image into one folder. When you are loading another image or when you are digitizing another image, you must include those layers into another folder. No, you can't include into this folder. So you should create a separate database for that. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So yeah, can you go just try to create at least one shapefile, either point, line, or polygon, depending on the shape that you have selected. You select here. Right after the database creation, create at least one shapefile just to make sure that you are okay with the steps, because there can be so many issues when you do it first time. That's why I am asking you to do at least once, and when you come with issues, you can ask. Okay, I'll give you around 5 minutes more so that you can try. Okay, so are you okay with digitizing?
Yes, ma'am. Now it's okay.
So like that, if you have an issue, you should ask, right? So that is all about digitizing. So you can do the question related to map digitization. Okay, you can go and read it and you can start building the map. So remember when you are digitizing, there are so many things to digitize in a map normally. So you can't do it just in a few hours. So it will take time. So you should start doing it early as possible, right? For example, in this map itself, in this image itself, there are so many roads and there are so many buildings, so many other things like lakes, uh, footpaths, or things like that. So it is, I mean, it is better if you start digitizing early as possible, right? So remember, you can have many layers of lines, many layers of points, many layers of polygons. Look into the other shape files that we have used for certain examples. There are so many layers there, right? So you have to group the layers. For example, here, I have grouped one layer as roads around the park. So all the roads around the park will be there in this layer. So roads away from the park, maybe roads, you can divide the roads into certain sections and you can create new layers, new line layers for those ones. Okay. Okay, so next I would like to do the exercise related to calculating line lengths and statistics. So here I have sent you this exercise as well, EXE 8, calculating line length and statistics. We'll just skip the heat maps for now. I'll do it later on. So here there is a handout inside this folder. You can see. So what we are doing here is we are going to calculate the line lengths or calculate the distances of the roads, right? So how much far are two points from each other, or how much far is how what is the length of one road? So those kind of things we can calculate because the normally the maps and the general world has a scale, right? So for example, 1 kilometer in a general world will be demonstrated using one let's say 1 centimeter on a map. Like that you can have a scale, right? So remember we included scales when we were creating maps on the first day. So using that scale, we are able to calculate the line lengths and we are able to perform some statistics which are required in the assignment, right? Okay, so I have given a shapefile. I have given, yeah, there is one shapefile inside this folder. You can load it into your canvas. So here I'm going to, let's see, yeah, I'm going to open a new project and you can load that shapefile from here itself. Mm. Okay, so here this is the shape file. You can load it into your layers, and you can see there are so many lines in this map. So this map is of this is a map of North America, and these are, I think these are railroads, as I remember. Yeah, railroads. It is given in the layer itself. Railroads, North America. So all the railway lines are mapped in this map. So if you zoom in, you can see there are so many lines. So if you want to measure the distance from, like, this distance of this line from one point to another, how you are going to measure it. So that is what we are going to see here. So for that, you have to open a new toolbox. So new toolbox, you have to add geometry attributes here, first of all. So you have to open the processing toolbox, right? Open the processing toolbox, and in that processing toolbox, you have one menu called, one drop down called vector geometry. So in vector geometry, and there is an option called add geometry attributes. So you can add geometry attributes for your layer, right? So adding geometry attributes means what? Because the latitude and longitude don't have a standard length, you can't measure distances or areas accurately using planar geometry functions. So these maps are created using latitude and longitude values. So there we do not measure things in kilometers and meters, right? You know, latitude and longitude are normally measured using degrees, right? So you cannot convert degrees into centimeters or kilometers like that. So QGIS application has provided a way to compute distances using ellipsoidal geometry. So there is a geometry type called ellipsoidal geometry. It is actually a way to, like, converting latitude and longitude values, or converting degrees into measuring methods of measurement, like in kilometers, meters, like that. So distances are computed in an ellipsoidal way. So this ellipsoidal way is actually the most accurate method for layers spanning large areas. So we are talking about large area. So this is a very large area. This is whole North America. It is a very vast area. So for to measure to get measurements of these large areas, the best method is to use ellipsoidal geometry to measure the distances. So this is actually this measurement, or this method is proved accurate after many researchers. So in QGIS, this ellipsoidal way can be used, right? So what we are going to do is we have to add this ellipsoidal distance or these attributes into our map. Otherwise, we have only latitude and longitude values, and we do not have the length. We cannot measure the lengths in there, right? So initially, if we right click on this layer and go to open attribute table, you can see there are certain attributes, right? There's a rank, there is a type of the road, whether it is a railroad. So I think all are railroads here. The name of the yeah, whether it is USA or Canada or Mexico, I think. Yeah, Mexico and some other states are given here. So that name and some other value, right? Some scales, the continent is given here. Okay, so only these attributes are given here. The latitude and longitude values are not shown in this map, in this attribute table, right? So when you are applying these geometry features into this map, the latitude and longitude values and the distances will be given in the attribute table. It will be added to the attribute table. Okay, so so here you can select the processing toolbox here, and under the geometry drop down, there is a add geometry attributes feature. So you can just double click on it and a dialog box will be opened. So the layer name will be this NE10M Railroads North America. So this, make sure this is the same layer that we want to measure, right? And you must select here the ellipsoidal calculation, right? The ellipsoidal calculation. So this, when you select this ellipsoidal calculation, you can see some information here. So this algorithm computes geometric properties of the features in a vector layer. It generates a new vector layer with the same content as the input one, but with additional attributes in its attribute table containing geometric measurements. So what happens here is a new new vector layer is created with additional geometric measurements. The attribute table will contain additional geometric measurements. Depending on the geometry type of the vector layer, the attributes added to the table will be different, right? So what you have to do is you have to select the ellipsoidal method here, and that's all. And then you have to run the you have to run this algorithm. This is an algorithm, ellipsoidal algorithm. So click on run, and yeah. So algorithm add geometry attributes finished. So when you come up to this point, then your algorithm is finished, it is over, and then you can close it. So you can see here a new layer is created, added geominfo. If you right click on this and go to the attribute table, you can see the length of each and every railroad is given here, right? The length. I think this length is in meters. Since the standard measurement is meters, the lengths are in meters, right? So this length column was not there previously, but now it is here. So this is the added geominfo layer, right? So you can see when you open the attribute table, and if you select several railroads, here they are highlighted, right? So this is one, yeah, this is another one, yeah, these are other railroads, right? So these are the ones that I have selected here. So same as the points which we used to select in previous previous activities. Here yeah, you can see the selected railroads. Okay, so I'm going to deselect features, and I'm going to measure the distance of each and every road. So you can simply get the lengths of each and every railroads from the attribute table itself, right? or otherwise you can filter the roads that you need to obtain the length and statistics. So you can filter. So you can use certain expressions to filter the roads that you want to measure. So for example, you have to select this layer and right click, and there is an option called filter, right? So filter, when you go to filter, you can see the measurement or the length is given here, right? And let's say here, yeah, it was when you can select this one and you can see all the unique values. So Canada, I don't know, the Caribbean islands, maybe Jamaica, Mexico, USA. So the states or the states are given there. Not the states, I think, yeah, maybe how the North America is divided. Those divisions are given here. So for example, if we want to measure all the length of all the railroads in Mexico, right? If we want to measure all the railroads given in Mexico, we can write our expression like this. You can right click here, equals Mexico. So 92 rows were given. So if I click OK, yeah, so these are highlighted. So these roads are highlighted. So you can see here all the roads which are available in Mexico is given here in the attribute table. So you can go to this expression editor and you can type a function. Yeah, you can search for them by your own. You try to type a function to get the total total value of this length. Okay, so here I have written all the to see all the what is say railroads in USA, and then afterwards you can see the statistical details from this point. So if I show you, yeah, you can show a statistical summary. You can, so here in this, remember in this layer, you have selected the railroads of Mexico only. So you can see here they are highlighted. right? So if, let's say if I remove this one, yeah, these are the railroads of Mexico only. So remember, I have filtered it, right? The filter means the filter says the railroads of Mexico only. And then when I select this layer, and I can select this show statistical summary option, then a statistical summary will be shown to you. So yeah, you have to select this added geominfo layer. And you have to select the length, right? So there are 92 lengths or 92 roads in this added geominfo, which means there are 92 roads in the Mexico area, and the total sum of these roads will be this value: the mean, median, standard deviation, the minimum value, the range, the maximum value, the quadrants, if there are any null values. All of these features, all of these information will be given to you. Statistical information will be given to you, right? So you can see, so it is, what is valuable here is the length only. I mean, the other ones, there are no meaningful information for statistics. So for example, when you select the continent, it will be North America, obviously, right? So the length is the one which shows the statistical information. Right. So like that you can, so this is a bulk view, like you cannot talk about, or you cannot measure the lengths of the railroads individually. So this is a bulk measurement. So here you can measure Mexico or USA, like that. Okay. So whenever you want to remove the filter, you can simply clear this and click OK. Then the whole continent will appear, right? So remember, before counting the summary, sum of all the lengths, you have to filter this. You have to apply a filter. For example, I am going to apply equals, let's say, Canada. Then if I type OK, only the railroads of Canada will be available here. And then if I show the statistical summary, of sorry, this one, and length, then the count will be given here. So 233 railroads are here, available here, and the sum of all the railroads, the length, all the statistical summary is given here. Okay, so like that you can view a statistical summary. And then you can change the computational units. So for example, this length is given in meters because the standard measurement of distance is meters. The length is given in meters. So you can convert them into kilometers as well. So for that you can, here there is an expression editor, right here. So you can click on this expression editor and you can divide this length by 100 in order to convert 1000 to convert meters into kilometers. Right, so you can see here now the values are in kilometers. Right, so like that you have to adjust the values, you have to adjust how things are shown according for you to be easy to read, right? So yeah, here is the sum of the total length of the railroads. So these are railroads of USA, I think. Yeah. So these are the sum of the total railroads. And you can manually measure the length as well. So you have a you have an option to manually measure the railway lines individually. So how you are going to do it is, so I'll just remove the filter, and let's say I want to measure the length of this line. Okay, so this is a smaller line here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select measure line. From here I'm going to select measure line, and you can see the cursor will change into a crosshair, right? So the measurements are in meters here initially. You can convert it into kilometers and start measuring, or you can measure in meters and then afterwards convert into kilometers. So that is up to you, right? So what you are going to do is you have to click on the starting point, right? Just click on the starting point, and you have to draw on top of this line. So here you can see, right? So I'm going to stop from here. So I'm going to right click, and when you right click, you will see the whole distance in kilometers, right? So here the points are given where you have clicked, right? The points where you have clicked are given here. The whole distance are given here in kilometers. So you can change them into feet or change them into map units or whatever units that you like, right? Okay, so like that you can measure the length of a line, and also you can measure an area, right? You can measure an area on a map. So what you have to do here is in the similar way that you have digitized, that you have used to draw the polygon when you are digitizing a map. You can draw like this, right? So first of all, click on one point and then you move on, right? And click on the other points. So make sure when you are doing these things, you should zoom in well, and you should be very precise when you are clicking these points, right? So like this, you can keep on clicking at the bends, and then you will be able to measure you will be able to measure these lines, this area correctly. So I'm just because it takes time, I'm just going to roughly draw this, right? So make sure when you are drawing it to draw it in a precise way. Okay, so this is the square, this is the area that I have selected. So this is the amount of square meter. So you can convert into square kilometers. So 8,916 square kilometers is in this area, right? Okay, you can also measure the angle, right? You can just measure the angle like this, right? Measure the angle of the whatever, for example, let's say you just click on the point and just, yeah, click like this. So the angle of this point will be shown to you, 40 degrees, like that. So most probably you won't get to measure angles, but measuring lines will be obviously there. I think it was there in one of your assignment questions. The last question, as I remember, you have to measure the distance of 2 points, right? Not only lines, you can measure the distance of 2 points as well. Okay, so that is how you are going to measure the distance manually. So remember, there are statistical ways to do measurements, and there are manual ways to do measurements as well. Okay. Okay, so that is all about measuring. So I'll give you a little bit of time for you to go through this handout, and you can try what is mentioned here. And if you come up with any issues, please ask. Okay, I'll give you a little bit of time. Otherwise, you will just forget it, and when you come close to doing the assignment only, you will start and look for it. Look for what is being done here, and sometimes you won't be able to understand certain issues that will arise, right? So it is better for you to just at least briefly go through these activities and see if there are any issues. Please clarify it now itself. Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of time, around 10 minutes, to you can go through this handout, load this shapefile into your canvas, and try to do the things. Try to statistically measure the lines and manually measure the lines, and see whether you have any issues. or if you need any clarifications to be done. Okay. Yeah, did you find any issues when you are doing the activity?
No, ma'am.
Okay, everything clear. Okay,
Yes.
so yeah, now there, I mean, almost every question in your assignment you are able to do. Only the heat map creation is left, right? So all the other questions you are able to, you should be able to do by now. Now try to do them, right? So let's see if we can cover the heat maps for today. Yeah. So I'll just, I mean, there's a little bit of things to be done in heat maps. So I'll just briefly cover, I mean, I'll go through this handout here and I'll let you to create these heat maps on your own, right? Because heat map creation cannot be done in just um, one way, like what do you say, directly. It cannot be done in just one try, right? Heat maps cannot be done in just one try because you have to adjust the colors and the intensities and everything uh, in the best way that you can measure the information, like you can in a way that you can clearly uh, visualize an information, right? So I'll go through this handout and I'll let you do it on your own, and on the next day I will demonstrate it of how it can be done, right? But you have to try on it on your own, and you will get so many issues. That is okay, you will get so many problems, but you try to adjust the things which are given here so that you can ultimately create the best heat map, right? So heat map, first of all, what is a heat map or what is a thematic map? So this thematic map or heat map, both of them are the same. So in a heat map, what do we measure? We normally measure the intensity of data. Intensity of data. What is intensity of data? It is like this. Let's say when we get this heat map, forget about the type of the heat map. So this heat map is based on criminal data. So this criminal data means, let's say in the middle, you can see here there is a blue color, and then there are yellow color, light orange color, a little bit dark orange color, and there is dark, I mean very red color is also there. So what do you mean by these colors? What do you mean by these shapes and colors when you look at the map? Just by looking at the map without any values or anything, you can directly say that these red color places contain either more criminal data or more crimes are happened in these red color places, or you can say less crimes are happened in these red color places. And these yellow or these orange color places, this orange color area, it demonstrates less criminal data than in the red color places, right? I'm just building up a story, okay? I'm not talking about the real data. In these red color places, there are more criminal data or more crimes have happened. These orange color places have less crimes than in the red color places, but there are also certain amount of crimes happen in this orange color area. This light orange color area has less crimes than in the dark orange color area, right? This yellow color area has lesser crimes, right? There are no crimes, no very critical crimes in this yellow color area. And this light blue and then blue color area has less or no crimes have happened. Like that, you can build up a story just by looking at a heat map, right? So you can talk like that also, and also you can talk on the other way around. Maybe this blue color area has the most criminal activities happened, then these light color areas have less criminal activities, then this orange have lesser, and this red color area have the least one. So you can, depending on the colors that you have used, you can talk about the situation like that. So normally for critical happenings, or if there are lot of data, or if there are critical data, we normally indicate them using colors like red, right, or very bright colors. So if there are less data, or if there are no criminal activities happened like that, we normally mention it in blue or green colors, right? So red colors are red, yellow, red, orange. Those colors are like critical colors. Yellow, light green or light blue, they are neutral colors normally. Then blue or green color, they are very, they are colors where less critical data or no data at all are there, right? So that is the standard that we normally use. So here what you have to do is, first of all, you have to load a base map layer. So you can use the OpenStreetMap because we have only the CSV data. We have only the data points with us, right? So you have to load a base map. So on the last week, I have mentioned you how to load a base map. You can use the OpenStreetMap, or you can use the worldmaps.shp file just to have a map with you. Then on the base map, you can load the data points layer. So initially it will be like this. So if you zoom in, you will be able to see these data points. So these data points are related to criminal activities. Criminal activities which has happened in somewhere near London, right? Criminal activities which has happened somewhere near London. So initially you can use layer styling, right? You can use layer styling to create a heat map. So just initially you can use this layer styling toolbox or layer styling property to create a heat map. So you will see here there is an option called heat maps. So when you select that option, you will be given with ways to distinguish, right? So places where there are lots of data points will be like dark in color. Places where there are less data points will be light color. Or you can select from each of these shades. So remember, depending on the data, depending on the number of data you have, the heat map will be different. The visibility of the heat map or the clarity of the heat map will be different. So if you have a very small amount of data, the heat map will normally be light color like this, right? Like the things around here, it will be light color. So you will not be able to build a story like I mentioned here. You will not be able to build a very strong story if you have a very small amount of data. If you have large amount of data and if there are the spread of the data is like this, then you might be able to distinguish and you might be able to build up a story um, by creating a heat map, right? So you can also change the settings, and you should uh, apply the settings where you can clearly be visible to create a visualize a heat map, right? And there's another way where you can enhance your heat map. It is by creating weights to certain attributes. So depending on the attribute that you are focusing on, you can create a weight for that attribute, right? Or you can use the field calculator by using that weight, and then you can use that weights to create the heat map. You can enhance the heat map, or you can clearly visualize the heat map, right? So how to do those things, I have included step by step in this handout, right? And there is another way to create a heat map. So there are so many ways to create heat maps. That's why I told you when you create the heat map, you don't have just only one way to create it or visualize it, because heat map depends on the way you depend on how much clear you are able to see the information, right? So for that you have to try different ways and come up with the optimal way where you can clearly see uh, or clearly understand the information, the spread of the information, right? You should build the heat map up to the point where you can clearly understand the spread of the information. So how the information has been spreaded, and you should be able to build up a story. Like I mentioned in the first slide, you should be able to build up a story, right? So for that, you should apply certain colors and certain intensities, certain opacities in order to create some heat map like this very clearly, right? So in this heat map, it is obvious that these areas have less amount of data than the other areas. So you can say, in a conclusion, you can say that there are some areas, or like these areas have less criminal activities, and these areas have more criminal activities, things like that. So if you can remember, I mentioned an example of cholera deaths in around 18 somewhat year, right? So there were some years in the history where a strong spread of cholera has happened in London and in many other countries, even in India. So people could not find what was the cause. Then certain researchers were done, and then they mapped the places where certain deaths has happened and the water pumps, right? They mapped water pumps and cholera deaths. Then they were able to identify that this cholera was spread through water drains, right? So where there were a lot of water drain, lot of death has happened. So that also can be done, that conclusion can be done by looking at a heat map, right? If you create a heat map where cholera deaths are happened, like if you create a heat map of cholera deaths, you will be able to see that certain areas have more coloradets. So it will be shown in colors like red and orange. And the places where there are less coloradets will be shown in colors like blue and green or yellow, like that. Okay, so you can build certain stories, right? You can come to certain conclusions by just looking at a heat map. So a heat map is very important, and you are having a question in your assignment also based on heat maps. So we'll in detail do this handout, do this activity on the next day. Okay, but I'm asking you to go through these exercises at home because as I mentioned before, we cannot just in one attempt we won't be able to build a clear heat map. Okay. Okay, so we do not have time to totally do this activity for today, so we'll do it on the next week. And there is also another interesting activity related to heat maps where you can where you are able to perform a time series data based video, right? You can create a video based on this time series data. So this is climate change, climate data is given here. So yeah, it is very interesting. So if you can do both, then it is okay. I think I have sent all of those lecture materials to you. Okay, so from this activity, we will conclude activities related to QGIS, and then we will start PostgreSQL and RStudio. So afterwards, you will be able to complete your whole assignment. Okay, any issues? Okay, so if you do not have any other issues, then we will meet on the next week. Okay, until then, have a nice week.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.